It's 33 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections. Good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, all social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, Chobos Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. In our first story, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has reaffirmed its stance against signing a peace pact with the Peace Council, criticizing the annual commitment as ineffective in preventing electoral violence. Citing the tragic loss of 8 lives in the 2020 election, Deputy Director of Elections and IT, Rashid Tanko Computer, emphasized that the party's position remains unchanged even after his flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, endorsed the recent peace campaign launched at the forecourt of State House. His comment sparked a rebuttal from the Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, urging the NDC to reconsider the entrenched position. Here is a wrap of the launch of the National Peace Campaign.
The road to signing this year's peace accord hasn't been without controversy. The NDC, led by its chairman, Johnson Esedun Ketia, lashed out at the Peace Council, signaling its reluctance to sign the peace pact due to violence that rocked the 2020 elections.
Declaration don't mean anything to us.
A peace declaration? It doesn't mean anything to you?
It doesn't mean anything to us because all previous declarations have not been adhered to, and those declarations have not solved any problem. If you allow violence to be brewed, you have violence, whether you sign declaration or not. And so that is why, for more than a year ago, I started talking about the need for us to remove the building blocks for violent elections. So at any stage, when something is happening, I call on those who in future will call us to sign declarations to speak up so that we stop this particular thing from happening.
After much deliberations between the party's leadership and the Peace Council, they finally submitted to the peace commitment with the ruling NPP and others at the forecourt of the State House on Sunday. Justice to prevail, NDC flag bearer John Mahama made a case for justice to prevail and the need to avoid any form of weapons at the polling centers.
The call for peace transcends any one party or its leader. It is about the very survival of Ghana's democracy and the sanctity of our electoral process. Each of us has a role to play in this. Our clergy, like all citizens, should be able to witness voting and counting peacefully, without fear of violence. If someone errs or is disruptive during the election, they should be made to face justice. The government has a responsibility to hold accountable any criminals who masquerade during the elections as state security operatives. No weapons must be allowed in or around any polling stations, including at all collation centers. Election security is the primary responsibility of the Ghana Police Service under the Inspector General of Police. There must therefore be no deployment of the military or armed national security operatives at any polling station or collation center.
The New Patriotic Party's running mate, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, reiterated the need to truly commit to the peace pact.
Nobody should advocate for himself. A peacemaker, and that if it is not him, Ghana should burn. We are a religiously tolerant people. We have been religiously tolerant since the golden times, or Gold Coast days through Ghana till now. Let us not add to the fire with religious intolerance.
APC flag bearer Hassan Ayariga used the platform to insist that governments beef up efforts to end the Boakye conflict after his bodyguard was killed in the violence.
I want government to sit up. The problem in Boakye is escalating. I'm just coming from a funeral. I was there with the chief imam to bury 4 people from Accra who were shot and killed in Wali, just driving the stretch to Bolga. And people have mounted roadblocks, moving people out of their cars and killing them with impunity, shooting at them, burning them. One of my bodyguards is a victim. I just lost one of my bodyguards who was burned to ashes. So as we are here, this forum is not just for peace. It's a creating of awareness of something bigger than peace. That is why I'm here to tell you.
As a commission, we are poised to conduct peaceful, transparent, credible, and fair elections. And we have demonstrated this by our action. We would like to assure the people of Ghana that the processes are so inclusive, participatory, open, and transparent. As we speak, all the political parties have their agents at the printing houses.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, as we approach...
NDC presidential candidate John Mahama says President Akufo-Addo and the NPP's vice presidential candidate Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia should have prioritized Sunday's launch of the National Peace Campaign. He said he called off his campaign in the Karaga constituency in the northern region to be at the event, but met the absence of the two. Well, Maxwell is on. Let's talk to Maxwell. Hello, Maxwell. Good afternoon. Hello, Maxwell. If you can hear me, please bring me an update.
Constituency. Specifically here at Dambai, where the NDC presidential candidates just started addressing the supporters and the people gathered here. Earlier, he was in the Boakye constituency, where he promised the residents of a new public university if an NDC government is elected in December. He also promised them a regional hospital if an NDC government is elected, and also promised them a regional police command, headquarters of the police in the OT region as well. We have some young people here with us. We want to speak to them. They have also been addressing the crowd on a different issue. They have been addressing the crowd specifically on their allowances. They are NAPCO trainees. Before we go to their issues here, I want to find out first of all from them what they think as young people is their role in ensuring a peaceful elections in 2024. What's your name?
I'm Nana Berema Samoa.
Okay, and you are?
I'm patron for Coalition of NAPCO Trainees.
Great. Before we talk about your issues, what do you think is the role of young people in ensuring a peaceful elections in 2024? I know the NAPCO trainees are made of a lot of young people, and yesterday the NDC presidential candidates and the NPP's vice presidential candidates were at the forecourt of the State House because of peace. What do you think is the role of young people in all of this?
Thank you very much. It is our civic responsibility. It is our dictate and mandatory responsibility as young men and women to sensitize our colleagues, sensitize our neighbors, sensitize our family the need, the urgent need to embrace peace. There is no need to engage in vandalizations. There is no need to alter vilifications that will trigger insecurity. No, so it is our responsibility through civic education to educate our colleagues, our family, our neighbors the need to embrace peace in the upcoming general election.
I'll come back to you on the substantive issue while you're here. But hello, what's your name?
Nanatechi Eric.
Your name is what?
Nanatechi Eric. Yes, please.
Tell me, what do you think is your role? What do you think is your role in ensuring peace in the 2024 elections?
Yes, it is my civic responsibility to educate my brothers and sisters the need for peace in as much as 2024 election is concerned. It is idea sharing, and so there's no need for us to engage in anything that will harm the peace and harmony that we are all enjoying. So education is the key. As an educationist, I will take that opportunity upon myself to educate people, to educate my brothers and sisters to embrace peace, so that we all will live in this country peacefully and successfully.
Okay, thank you for talking to us. Thank you. Thank you. Well, they were here on a different issue. The substantive issue for which they were here was because of their overdue allowances. They said they were promised that they were going to be paid, and for many months now, they're yet to be paid by this current government. And they have been addressing party supporters at the Boakye constituency and then here in the Karachi East constituency, questioning the commitment of the NPP presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Baumie's promise of job creation for young people. They say if really he's committed to creating jobs for young people, he should first pay the NAPCO trainees their overdue allowances. But right now here in the Karachi East constituency, the NDC presidential candidate John Mahama is speaking, so we can pay attention to him right now.
Thank you. We are election headquarters and we'll be bringing you more updates from that tour. Now, moving on, Bono East Regional Chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Gabriel Deyeboa, has admonished political actors as well as stakeholders in the political process to abreast themselves with the requisite knowledge on electoral matters to help ensure peaceful elections in the December polls. Now, he made this call in the Techiman during the launch of his book titled Protecting the Integrity of the Ballot, a Collective Responsibility.
Notice that interest in politics and elections is growing fast, but not with correspondent in the growth in knowledge in elections. When elections are approaching, people shout, we want peaceful elections. But the truth is that you can only have peaceful election when the election itself is credible. But the credibility of elections is not ensured by only Electoral Commission. In fact, it is a collective responsibility of all of us. In fact, looking at the background here, our historical background here, we intend to organize a peace walk and peace talk, which will involve all the top hierarchy of political activists.
Now, with just 33 days until the presidential and parliamentary elections, NPP flag bearer Dr. Baumie launches a fresh battle over digitalization with NDC's flag bearer John Mahama, questioning Mahama's grasp of the economic matters, particularly his understanding of how digitalization drives economic growth. Addressing supporters at the Baumie for Jobs event in Accra, Dr. Baumie warned Ghanaians not to bring Mr. Mahama closer to the presidency, arguing that the former president's limited knowledge of the global digital economy and inconsistent leadership style could hinder national development. Dr. Baumie also pledged to create thousands of jobs and establish a fintech fund to tech startups if elected. Carlos Kalani has more from the Boakye Sports Complex here in Accra.
The atmosphere at the Boakye Sports Complex was electric as over 2,000 young people both in person and online, gathered to hear the NPP flag bearer share his vision for tackling youth unemployment in the country. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia pledged to equip 1 million youth with IT skills and launch a $100 million fintech fund to support Ghanaian tech startups.
I want to see Ghana build the digital talent we require for the fourth industrial revolution. You need digital talent. This will mean providing digital and software skills to hundreds and thousands of youth. In collaboration with the private sector, we will train at least 1 million youth in IT skills, including software developers, coders, to provide job opportunities worldwide. We will establish a fintech fund with a seed capital of $100 million to attract additional private sector funding to support Ghanaian startups.
Dr. Bawumia also criticized the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama, calling him an inconsistent leader who fails to recognize digitalization's role in economic transformation, urging Ghanaians to keep Mr. Mahama away from the presidency.
My opponent, the former president, to put it mildly, is very inconsistent. He opposed free senior high school, saying it was bogus and will collapse the economy. But today he says he introduced it. He, as president, introduced the teacher licensure exams. But today he says he opposes it. He abolished teacher and nursing training allowance. He said he would abolish it even if it cost him the presidency. But today he says he will continue to pay them. He is not committed to it. It's just for political expedience. He has touted in the past infrastructure as one of his achievements. But because our infrastructure record is superior to his, today he says that infrastructure doesn't matter. How can we have a leader who doesn't appreciate the value of digitalization?
Still on the NPP, its presidential candidate, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has started a 15-day campaign tour of the Ashanti region to engage voters ahead of the December 7th election. The tour is expected to take Dr. Bawumia to all 47 constituencies in the region as he interacts with traditional leaders, market women, artisans, and other stakeholders. My colleague, Nana Boakye Yadom, is with the NPP's presidential candidate. Hi, Nana. Good afternoon, and what can you report?
Touching base with the grassroots delegates and everybody here in the Ashanti region, which happens to be the very last region that he will be touring as part of his nationwide campaign. Currently, the vice president is in the Achuma Mponia constituency. You need to be specific, where he's engaging supporters, sympathizers of the New Patriotic Party, sharing his vision and mission with them and what he intends to do when elected president of the Republic of Ghana. The vice president earlier engaged the clergymen, traditional leaders, but currently he is having his last or first rally, I must say, in the Ashanti region, and it is a rally with the people of Inyeneini here in the Achuma Mponia constituency. You can see the regional chairman Bernard and Chibo Siako going to greet the Inyeneini alongside Dr. Free Akoto, the former minister for agriculture, who is also going to shake hands with the Inyeneini Mahine, and also the vice president will be doing the same. I see Apreku also here, Kunedu Apreku, who is also joining the vice president's tour in the Ashanti region. Well, we have been told that he is going to go around all 47 constituencies in the Ashanti region, and he is going to be doing a little bit of engagement with some party supporters, market women, and the business community. The vice president has earlier said that he is in for jobs, just as he said yesterday when he
Now, America Decides is right here on election headquarters. Now, over 76 million early voters have cast their votes. Former President Donald Trump has been critical of early voting as his campaign and the Republican Party have been pushing for voters to cast early ballots. Vice President Kamala Harris' campaign has also pushed for Democratic voters to utilize early voting more aggressively, seen as a tactic to help gain votes ahead of the election day. Now, Joy News, your election headquarters, is on ground and will bring you live coverage from the midnight of November 6th. Now, our senior news editor and head of political desk, Evans Mensah, joins me in studio to give us an update on what to expect. Now, we have been covering the U.S. elections for some time now. In fact, you were in the U.S.
You remember that?
Of course I do.
Where were you?
I wasn't 18. I was a bit older.
Oh,
so of course I have the updates.
2016.
Yeah.
I didn't think that you would remember, but that's...
Of course I do.
Yeah.
But now more than ever, tell us why we as Ghanaians must be interested in the electoral process of the U.S.
You know, they say when the U.S. coughs, everybody else will catch the cold, especially Ghana, because our trading relations with the U.S. is very significant indeed. And the choices that the Americans will be making will affect us here, although we don't have a vote in the matter. But it will affect it. It will affect trading relations. It will affect immigration. It's very, very important. Geopolitics that has implications on us. Remember, this government, when the economic crisis hit, had said Ukraine was primarily part of the reason why our economy tanked. And if you have a Trump in the White House, it has a different impact on the Ukraine scenario than if you have a Harris, for example, there. Mm-hmm. So those are choices that will affect us. When I talk about trade, for example, Trump had said he's going to impose 20% tariff on all imports into the U.S. That will affect us too. 60% on China, of course. So the Chinese, maybe, because it's going to be costing a bit more to export to the U.S., may look to Africa. So it may have an impact on us too. If it's costing us 20% more to export, you can imagine that for those Ghanaian producers, manufacturing a sector that export to the U.S., it will cost them more to export to the U.S. And then you have the big old elephant in the room, which is immigration. You need to ask yourself, and the Trump and then the Harris, which of these two leaders will be more favorable and more lenient towards the many Ghanaians who are part of some 12 million illegal immigrants in the U.S.
Okay.
And the Trump, we know a lot of them will be deported.
Okay.
And the Harris, it may be more lenient. So those are very important.
Do we have any similarities at all in their elections and ours? Do we have any similarities at all?
I mean, first past the post is one, but there's a huge dissimilarity there when it comes to the electoral college votes, because there is not the popular votes that wins you the elections, the electoral college votes that wins you the elections. One of the things we'll be doing at 12 is to explain to you how you can actually win more votes and still lose elections. And we'll be doing that. That is as close as it gets in terms of similarity when it comes to first past the post. Once you get the more electoral college votes, you win the elections. Here, you simply need one more vote than the other guy to win. And we know their campaigns is very, very similar to how vitriolic it's been. It's been very vitriolic. We've seen the likes of Donald Trump and his team attacking Harris quite hard on this. That is, in essence, something that has been very common to us. But we've seen that our democracy, our elections have improved over there over the period, right? Yes. They had post-election violence. People died after the 2020 elections. This year, we had some violence to be reported in the US too.
I know that you have given us at least an idea of what's going to be happening here, but what really would be happening midnight of 6th?
So you want to join us at midnight, 12 to be very precise. We start, why 12? Because we're anticipating that at 12, the first polls will be closing around New York, New Jersey. And so when we start around 2 a.m. thereabout, we should be getting the first idea about what is happening in these states. Some of the battleground states will also hopefully would have closed to, will be closing just around 3, 2 thereabout. That will give you a sense of what may be happening too. Okay. So that is why we are starting at 12. You want to join us at the time, because then we'll be, first of all, laying out the foundation for you. But most importantly, we start at 12, we take a break at 3, and we come back at 6 a.m. Because between that period, 6 to 9, we'll have some clarity.
I'll have your coffee on standby.
Yes.
Thank you, Evans. This is your election headquarters. Welcome back. Now, our lead data and research analyst is here at Joy News. Isaac Kofi has been monitoring the trends and is here with the figures. If there's anybody to fear, it's Kofi. Kofi, please,
oh, really?
Give me an update, yes.
Well, America will actually decide on Joy News, and just like Evan said, there are a lot of similarities that we'll be looking at. But on the screens right now is this big number. In Ghana, we focus on getting 50% plus one of the popular vote. It's not the same in America, just like Evan put it. We are looking at the 270 plus one, what we call the electoral vote in America. So to become the president of America, you need to get more than 270 of that electoral vote, what they call the 338, electoral areas. But we'll be going to the touch screen right now to tell you the early vote and the mail-in vote, what has been the trend so far, what is the category of the number of people who have actually voted so far. You put it right. 76 million people have actually voted currently. So let's go to the touch screen and see what we have on there right now. So this is actually your, what we have currently in terms of the early votes coming in so far. This is filtered according to the party registration. So in blue, you have the Democrats, and in red, you have the Republicans. What you have in gray is that there's no data available. So what we can report currently is that those who have actually cast the vote in terms of the more than 76 million people, 41% of them, there's enough data to prove that they are actually registered Democrats. 39% are actually Republicans. If you go into this and look at it according to the states, now, if you look at it in this way, let's switch to the battlegrounds and filter it this way. There are about 4 battlegrounds that we're actually looking at the moment. If you go to a place like Pennsylvania, you see that those who have actually registered are somewhat Republicans, or voted at the moment are Republicans. Now let's filter again by age and see how that also pans out. What we did first was according to your registered party. Yes. By age. Let's look at those who have registered so far. So 40% of the 76 million people who have actually voted so far are actually those who are 65 or older. It means that those who are actually the aged are voting early, which is also good. Now, if you look at about, let's say, 27% of them are between the ages of 50 and 64. 13% are between the ages of 40 and 49. So it means that the oldies are actually voting now. Early. But the big challenge is getting those who are between the ages of 18 to 29, 30 to 39, basically the youth, to get up from the couch and go and vote. If you look at the numbers, that is not looking good so far at the moment. Let's filter according to gender. This is what for me is important, because for the first time we are having on the ballot a woman. A woman. I mean, we had Hillary Clinton in somewhere around that time. She also came in. But if you look at this year, the reason why Harris is important is because of the dynamics surrounding her coming in, to replace Joe Biden. Now, if you filter according to gender, 53% of those who are actually voted now are women. Just 44% are men, and there's also other data for us to look at the moment. Thank you, Kofi. Kofi will bring you more on that on Joy News Prime later today. Thank you for joining us on Election Brief. Do stay for more on Joy News. My name is Emefa Kosia Adeti.